Hi everyone, Alan Lepofsky here from Constellation Research. Today is August 21st, 2015, and I wanted to give you a quick overview of some of the latest news in the social business world. Let's start off with some nice customer wins over at Jive Software. They recently announced the Portland Trailblazers as well as GoDaddy have signed to use their Jive N platform. That's for internal usage for their employees, so the Trailblazers organization, and 4,500 employees over at GoDaddy. Other Jive news really quickly is Jeff Lautenbach has joined the group as as president of Worldwide Field Operations. So Jeff will be a welcome addition to that team. I've worked with Jeff many times over the years at several different companies, IBM, SAP, Salesforce, etc. So it's great to have Jeff's heritage over at the Jive product family. Looking at social task management news, a couple things happening. Liquid Planner released their new version called Liquid Planner at Work, where they've done a substantial user interface overhaul. Here you can see a quick screenshot of what the product looks like. It's more sort of social network looking, where you can at a glance see all the things that are happening, all the timesheets that you have parts of, the dashboards that you're participating in, etc. So not as much project-centric at the look, but more sort of task-centric and social-centric, where you can see what's going on and what things need to be worked on. Continuing in social task management, Wunderlist has a completely revamped user experience on the web. And as most of you know, Wunderlist is now owned by Microsoft. So I think you're going to be seeing lots of really great integrations happening there. So speaking of Microsoft, let's jump over and see what's happening in their world. Microsoft is optimizing Yammer for teamwork. Essentially what that means is they're putting a lot more function over here, or sorry, a lot more focus over on the groups sort of aspect, sort of the purpose of using a social network versus the all company feed is sort of being not depreciated anyway, but sort of less out of the way, more focus on what's happening in groups so that people can form those specific teams around tasks and likes and interests and things. As you're working or as you're reading through one group, I like down here at the bottom, you can jump to the next group. So it sort of helps you navigate down group by group. So great things happening over there at Yammer. On the Outlook front, Outlook has announced a whole bunch of new partner integrations with Evernote, Yelp, IFT, and Wunderlist, which they now own. That's in addition to ones earlier this year of Uber, PayPal, and Boomerang for email. And essentially what this is doing is turning the Outlook client into a real productivity hub of information. You're not just sending and receiving emails. You're actually taking tasks, things like booking appointments or looking at your calendar and booking cabs back and forth from airports, making payments, etc. So here you can see directly doing PayPal to people from inside Outlook, doing Evernote integration with notes and things inside Outlook. So, I've always said the strength of a product is based on its partner ecosystem. So it's amazing to see how many things are starting to be built here for Outlook. Not stopping at just building things for the web or for mobile devices, Microsoft has put a lot of effort into wearables. So you see here Outlook running on Apple Watch, Wunderlist running on Apple Watches. What do we have here next? Yammer running on Apple Watches, their translation services. So lots of really interesting things. OneDrive running here on Android Wear. So OneNote also running on Android Wear. So lots of really great things sort of happening in the wearable front. And last thing quickly in the Microsoft world, in movers and shakers, people changing jobs. We mentioned Jeff earlier going to Jive. Well, we have Microsoft's Jeff Steeper going back from the strategy team to sort of his heritage and his roots, leading the SharePoint and OneDrive team. I've been fortunate to work a lot with Jeff in the past, so looking forward to seeing him back on the Office team. Let's move over to Salesforce. So big announcement from Salesforce was the integration of a buy button into their community cloud. So essentially what that's doing is sort of bringing the worlds of community and commerce together. You can see at our Constellation blog a overview of our thoughts on this move by myself and my colleague Guy Courtin, where we are talking about what this means for a community and how shopping meets social, and what this will allow brands to do instead of just having communities be places to people to talk about things, but actually to sort of complete that transaction and move things to an e-commerce buying cycle. Let's talk about Box for a while. Again, talking about people changing careers. There's an exciting announcement about the head of EMC Simplicity leaving EMC and moving over to work in the Box world. So Jitu Patel is now going to be leading things over on the product side at Box, which is exciting. I think that'll be interesting to have someone coming over from a major competitor, to take the role of Chief Strategy Officer over at Box and help sort of think about what they're doing moving forward. More about Box, continuing to expand, continuing to add new offices and new people. They're creating a brand new office in New York City. So the great thing about being over there in New York City, having an East Coast based office, is they're going to be able to work with all of the great East Coast technology companies that are in New York City. IBM is there, Infor is there. They're talking about all the industries that are housed out of New York City, like retail, entertainment, real estate, healthcare. Lots of things happening in New York City. So great for Box to be building an office there. And as well, rounding out that industry perspective, they have Adam Ross joining Box to lead financial services, where he comes over from NASDAQ, where he was VP of Global Corporate Solutions. So lots of experience in the financial sector going over to Box. And so we talked about people at Box, we talked about offices at Box. There's also great new features sort of evolving their way at Box with Box's metadata. And I think this is really important. This is one of the keys to differentiating from just being a file sharing service to actually becoming an application platform. Now Box will allow programmers and developers to actually add lots of information to the files being stored in Box. So metadata about where, when, who, why, color, sizes, anything you want around the files that are being added, whether they're photos or spreadsheets or presentations, x-rays, anything you want to upload, you'll be able to add metadata to it. Let's talk about Slack for a moment. So Slack has done something interesting. They now allow people to email messages into Slack channels. So again, one of those vendors realizing that its email is far from dead. As they say, email remains ubiquitous and is quite useful for getting updates from pretty much every service. Those of you that know me know I'm a huge fan of the usefulness of email, maybe not some of the features of it and the look of it, but the ubiquitous of email is definitely important. This may sound very much like, for those of you, my Lotus fans, a mail-in database, the ability to mail from your inbox into a shared team space. So, Slack is now adding this feature as well. So you can email into a Slack channel. Continuing on Slack for just one more thing, they've integrated with Taco. So I just talked about the Lotus Notes and Domino world and mail-in databases. Let's tie all this together with Slack and Taco. Those of you that may not know, the founder of Taco is Ray Ozzie, the founder and creator of Lotus Notes. So there you go. There's my tie-in between these two stories. Email into Slack, and Slack having now the ability to launch instant messaging and phone call conversations directly from inside Slack. You just do a /taco command, and you can now, everybody that is using the Taco client can have a real-time conversation around what was happening in that Slack channel. All right, let's round things off with messaging clients. Since we're talking about messaging here, the last one I'll talk about today is close to my heart, a nice Canadian company from Waterloo, Ontario, taking $50 million. I should mention Kik, taking $50 million from China's Tencent. So it's great to see innovation and products being built right here in Canada, getting huge amounts of funding, and I wish them luck. Not so much in the enterprise space right now. This is more of a consumer play, but I did just kind of want to mention it as it is a social tool. So there you go. Lots of things happening in the social space. I'm sure I missed lots of things. If you want to point them out to me and give me links to other news articles in the social business space, please do so in the comments below. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you on the next broadcast.